What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTP Ravens Media, bringing you Ravens content every single day. If you want to stay tuned to Ravens content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below and hit the notification bell if you want to get notified every single time I upload a brand new video. Now, in this video, first off, I want to apologize to all the Tennessee Titans fans out there. Ravens fans, if you do not know, Derrick Henry has broken his foot. He had surgery today. I believe I heard it's a Jones fracture, which I believe I had a Jones fracture. It's basically breaking from what I remember, it's breaking the part of the foot that connects to the toe. It's not like something crazy serious. I don't think it's career changing or anything like that, but he is expected to miss between 6 and 10 weeks, which is most of the season. Now, when this was released, everybody looked at the Tennessee Titans and were like, what are they going to do? Because Derrick Henry, in my opinion, and Ravens fans, you may disagree with me, you may think it's Lamar, but I think Derrick Henry is the most important person to his team in the NFL. Like, their entire team revolves around Derrick Henry. Yes, he is not super involved in the passing game, but that's because defenses still pays so much attention to Derrick Henry that he is putting A.J. Brown, Julio Jones in one-on-one situations all day. When Derrick Henry's in the backfield, the linebackers step up, A.J. Brown goes over the middle, all these types of things, and he accounts for like 75% of their offense. It's like absolutely ridiculous how crucial Derrick Henry is to the Tennessee Titans. But he's out, and he's expected to be out. He could return for a playoff run, a very late season push or something like that if the Titans are still pushing. But if they want to be in that situation, a lot of people are looking at it like, okay, they're still going to have to run the football because as good as Ryan Tannehill is, I don't think Ryan Tannehill is amazing. I don't think he's terrible. I think he can do his job. He does need a run game. And they have Jaden McNichols, who's pretty much their only number 2 back. I think they have one other guy. And then they have, I believe his name, Kari Blasfagame, something like that. He's their fullback. He's listed as a running back on their depth chart, but he's their fullback. And a lot of people are looking at it like, hey, Titans very well could be looking for a running back. And I know that they announced that I believe they're working out Adrian Peterson. There's a possibility that they sign Adrian Peterson. But Adrian Peterson is not going to be able to take the workload that Derrick Henry did. I mean, this isn't 2011, 2012. This is 2021 Adrian Peterson. He's not that same guy anymore. But Tyson Williams has been a guy that's been brought up in a lot of trade conversations. A lot of people have talked about the Ravens have gotten offers for running backs, and the Ravens are looking at one. And I highly doubt anybody's looking at the Ravens like we really need to trade for Latavius Murray or Le'Veon Bell or Devontae Freeman. I fully believe that it's Tyson Williams that some teams have inquired about. And so that brings me to the question, should the Ravens trade Tyson Williams to the Tennessee Titans? Because in my personal opinion, I do think that the Baltimore Ravens should trade Tyson Williams. And why I believe that is because, one, I don't think he's going to be with the Ravens for the future. You know, obviously the Ravens have Gus and JK coming back. They don't need a third. They also have Justice Hill coming back, who's a phenomenal special teams player. So, you know, overall, I don't think that Tyson Williams is a guy that they're looking at like, okay, we need him for our future. He's also just not played very well. He's been thrown in the doghouse. He had some poor plays against the Bengals, just, you know, not understanding Lamar's signals and, you know, not trying to get that first down. A lot of things. You know, I still like Tyson Williams. I'm not a Tyson Williams hater or anything like that, but maybe he needs a fresh start. But the big question with this that I've been seeing a lot is like, yes, some people want the Ravens to trade Tyson Williams. However, they don't want to trade him to the Titans because obviously the Ravens and Titans have had a rivalry the last couple of seasons. And honestly, it's been a rivalry for the last 20 years off and on. But should the Ravens trade their running back to a now struggling and scrambling Tennessee Titans team, which could give them the boost to help them weather the storm as Derrick Henry's getting healthy to eventually bring him back and get ready for the playoffs? Because their division isn't anything amazing. They could very well win their division with the Colts being the really only competitor, and they still beat the Colts in the game this weekend because the Jags and Texans are both terrible football teams. So very good chance that they'll still be in the playoffs. So did the Ravens give them that edge? And I think the biggest thing to look at with this is the Ravens made a trade with Kansas City. They traded Orlando Brown Jr. to Kansas City in order to get basically a Odafe away and you know, some other future picks. But in my opinion, let me know in the comment section down below if you guys disagree with me. You can only focus on one thing in the NFL, and that's making your team put in the best possible position that you can put them in. You don't want to make moves because other teams are making moves. All right. If the Cleveland Browns were to go after, I don't even know, a cornerback, the Ravens don't have to look at that and be like, oh, wow, the Browns have got a cornerback. It's going to be tough. We got to get a wide receiver to counter that cornerback so then we can, play chess. No, that's not what you do. Okay, you focus on where does your team need to get better and how can you do that? Not just get better this year. Because obviously the Ravens, if they wanted to get better this year, they could make a couple of trades. Like they could trade for maybe a more expensive running back or something like that. But while that would make them better this year, the future, it's not worth it for them, right? They're looking at it like, hey, we got Gus and JK coming back. We got Marcus Peters coming back. So trading for some of these positions that are brought up isn't really as important as it may seem right now because the future is what really matters to this team. And in my personal opinion, Tyson Williams is not that much a part of the team's future. And he's really not that much of a part of the team's present. I mean, you look at how the Ravens have been playing the last couple of weeks. It's been Devontae Freeman and Latavius Murray. And Latavius Murray wasn't even playing last week. And it was a Devontae Freeman, Le'Veon Bell week with a little bit of Tyson Williams mixed in. Like he is, in my opinion, clearly the number 4 running back on this depth chart. And I don't think that's going to be something that changes next year. So why not go out and get somebody that can improve this roster? Maybe not this year. I can go over the Tennessee Titans picks in the future. So obviously they have a round 1 pick next year. The Ravens aren't getting a round 1 for Tyson Williams, okay? They don't have a round 2. They have a 3, 4, 5, and 6. And I believe that they don't have a 7. It's very confusing. There's a lot of question marks with that. But I mean, if the Ravens could get a 5th round pick, a 6th round pick, maybe the Ravens send Tyson and a 5th and they get back a 4th. One of those types of deals where the Ravens send like a little bit lower value to improve one of their picks. I feel like that's 100% worth it for Baltimore. Now, yes, it could help the Titans weather the storm. But if we're analyzing it really, I fully expect the Titans to be winning this division because the division's just bad. Like, the only competition is the Colts, and I'm not trying to, knock out the Colts like, oh, they don't have a chance. The Colts aren't a bad football team by any means. But if you look at the standings, sorry, I'm pulling them up right now. Titans are 6-2. Colts are 3-5. Titans right now are 3 games ahead of the Colts. The Titans still have to play. Looking at their schedule, they still play the Texans twice. They still play the Jaguars. They play the Dolphins. They play the Patriots, who really aren't that good of a team this year. They play the 49ers, who are very off and on. They do have some tough games. They play the Rams. They play the Saints. But Saints just lost Jameis Winston. They play the Steelers. Like it's not like it's some crazy difficult schedule. So trading Tyson Williams, I don't expect Tyson to play. If the Ravens were to match up against the Titans in the playoffs, one, it would still be difficult for that to happen because like seeding and everything like that, it's just a low probability that they'd play each other, especially in the first round. Potentially a second round matchup if the Titans and the Ravens were able to win, that type of thing. But it's unlikely that the Ravens would be playing them. It's not like this is a divisional opponent like the Steelers or the Bengals or the Browns where it's like, okay, you're going to be playing them. The Ravens don't play them in the regular season. There's a chance they could play in the postseason. But if Derrick Henry's back in the playoffs, which he's expected to be, if he misses 10 weeks, which is the longest part of the 6 to 10 week recovery, that's still back by playoff time. Tyson Williams wouldn't be playing against the Ravens, so it doesn't really affect them. And they could probably find a running back somewhere because Tyson Williams isn't an amazing running back. I think he's a decent young player with some potential, but trading him, I don't think really hurts the Ravens that much because I still expect the Titans to win the division. So if the Ravens could get a pick out of it for a player that isn't really contributing now or will be in the future, and they still have a Nate McCrary on the practice squad who I don't think is part of the Ravens' future either, but if they really need a 4th running back or something like that to put on the roster, they can do that. So for me, I'm fully in, and if the Ravens would trade Tyson Williams to the Tennessee Titans, because I don't think it would affect the Ravens that much, and I think it could help them because getting better for the future is really important to this team. They have 10 draft picks, make it 11. Make one of those 5th round picks into a 4th round pick. If we could have 5 4th round picks next year, that could easily be traded up into, maybe even 2 3rd round picks. Maybe we could get a 2nd round pick with that. Like there's a lot of maybe get a 2nd round pick and take another tackle. All of a sudden the Ravens draft, a tackle, a linebacker, and, a lot of other positions the Ravens could get, a defensive tackle, in the first 2 rounds of the draft. That could be huge for this team. Like that's what the Ravens need. They don't need a running back 3 or 4 for the future. Like, I don't think it's that necessary for him. And the Ravens have running backs this year already. If Tyson was like balling out, really performing, was the number 1 running back on the team, I would not trade him. But since he isn't, I think it's totally worth it. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Let me know your reasons for it. Thank you all for watching. Subscribe for more Daily Ravens content. And I will see all of you again tomorrow.